And that's the news from our world tonight. Dan Rather for the CBS Evening News. There'll be more in your late local news. Of course, Harry Smith and Paula Zahn will be here with CBS This Morning. I'll see you tomorrow evening. Good night.
This is CBS.
We can show you at Home Depot. We can help your dreams come true. So much to see, so much to know, so much in store for you.
At Home Depot, low prices are just the beginning. Manville Insulation keeps your fuel costs from going through the roof. And light up your yard with energy-efficient Electropack exterior lights.
When you're with us at Home Depot, you'll feel right at home.
Broadway's Best, A Chorus Line, comes to the Music Hall March 6th through the 18th in a dazzling all-new production from Theater Under the Stars. Tickets for A Chorus Line on sale at Ticketron.
KHOU TV, Houston. And now, from 11 News in Houston, Sylvan Rodriguez, Susan Banks, Dr. Neil Frank with weather, and Dick Nielsen on sports. This is KHOU 11 News at 6.
I am just at the point now that I cannot, in good conscience, sit at this table and let that police department to continue to look aside when we have Hispanic problems in this city.
There does need to be an Hispanic member of the command staff, and as we reorganize, I am committed to ensuring that that occurs.
Hispanic leaders lash out against Police Chief Watson and her choice for 2 assistant police chief positions. Good evening. Susan Banks is off. Claire Castellamon joins us.
Sylvan, Watson announced her nominees for those positions during a news conference where she unveiled future plans for the department. Some are calling her ideas a radical approach, but most of the criticism is being aimed at who she's choosing to move up in the ranks. We have 2 reports this evening, the first from our Terry Elliott.
Watson told her audience it's time for new vision and teamwork among all officers in the police department.
We are going to be flattening the organization and creating an executive board of management. There has never been this kind of an arrangement in any law enforcement agency in the country.
It's still unclear what the total impact will be. It is clear command staff members will no longer make all the decisions. Instead, the entire department from the bottom to the top will participate. Assisting the effort will be 5 project teams addressing issues such as career development, staffing needs, a new directive system that will take a new approach to discipline, improve communications, and patrol enhancement. Patrol officers and their happiness are high on Watson's list, as well as increased pay.
We need to recognize that patrol is the backbone of the department.
The chief also proudly introduced the men she nominated to the rank of assistant chief. Larry Kendrick, a 19-year veteran, will head up support services, which oversees the jail and dispatch, to name a few.
I'm very pleased, and I'm honored that the chief would have that kind of faith in me.
Sergeant Jimmy Dotson, who will supervise community affairs, was equally pleased, but critics say there are better qualified minorities to do the job, a charge Dotson says he's not aware of.
As far as any controversy, I'm not familiar with any controversy, and I'm hoping and praying that there won't be controversy.
Dotson's nomination could mark the end of Watson's honeymoon. Terry Elliott, 11 News.
This is Bill Jeffries at City Hall. The news of the assistant chief appointments with no Hispanics drew immediate fire.
She's been in Southwest Houston too long. She needs to come out on the east side of town and find out what the problems are and find out how many policemen on an hourly basis are saying we want a Spanish-speaking officer out here.
The department is lagging when it comes to hiring Hispanic officers. Out of more than 4,000 officers on the force, 75% are white, 14% are black, 11% Hispanic, even though Hispanics make up about 25% of the local population.
The policies and the procedures of policing this size of a community is done in a vacuum. No one in our staff understands the culture of the Hispanic community.
Through cooperation.
Watson last month met with Hispanics who argued loudly for an assistant chief, so Watson may have known this was coming.
There does need to be an Hispanic member of the command staff, And as we reorganize, I am committed to ensuring that that occurs.
There will continue to be concern every time an appointment is made until we reach a situation in which the leadership of our police department is representative of our community.
Spanish language media in Houston say the story is big for their audience. They are reporting police are not hearing the Hispanic voice. Black council members say they know how it feels after arguing for years of the need for increased black representation in the department and at the top.
I don't know what I could say to Ben because of his frustrations. I really don't know what I could say, but I know what has been said to me all of the time. Wait till next time.
Let me assure you that we're going to do whatever it takes. If we have to get people out in the streets, if we have to picket the police department.
But an angry Ben Reyes shows no signs of waiting for next time. Bill Jeffries, 11 News.
More controversy at the police department over an officer who admitted to breaking the law. Tonight, the story of the Houston officer who admitted to buying crack cocaine, was fired for it, but now has his job back. Dave Failing with more on Oliver Stokes.
Oliver Stokes is a Houston police officer. He worked for 10 years as an equipment repairman in the communications division. But 1 year ago, he was suspended. The department found out Stokes was a crack addict. On one occasion last year, he supposedly bought and smoked $200 in crack in just one day. He knew he had a problem, and he told his supervisor.
He literally turned himself in, but he did not go directly to the employee assistance program. He went through a supervisor.
The employee assistance program is confidential, but by first going to his supervisor, word got out to then Chief Lee Brown. The chief suspended Stokes indefinitely. Stokes fought back, taking his case to an arbitrator. His union attorney argued Officer Stokes did what city policy directed him to do. He turned himself in and requested help with his drug problem. But the city said Stokes deserved to be fired, not because he was a drug user, but because he failed to turn in the drug dealer he bought the crack from. Quoting the city's attorney, the only issue is whether Officer Stokes broke the laws, which require felonies to be reported. Since he did break the law, as he confessed, he deserves the discipline. The arbitrator disagreed. This is unconscionable, she wrote. She said the city has no business firing drug abusers who admit they have a problem, even if he is licensed to both carry a weapon and to arrest. In his capacity as a radio operator, he did neither. The new chief said the decision robs her of her authority.
But for him to admit it and then to have us be told that that's all right, we should keep employees like that, I'm deeply concerned.
In Austin, Houston lawmaker Ron Wilson is trying to get rid of arbitration.
Basically what my bill does is give to the police chief the authority to make management decisions and the authority for those decisions to stick.
But for Oliver Stokes, it's the arbitrator who had the final word, and he now is going back to work. Dave Failing, 11 News.
2 Houstonians were among 28 people honored at the White House today for their efforts in the war on drugs.
Our Jerome Gray is in Washington, joins us now live with more on this story. Jerome?
Sylvan and Claire, this luncheon gave the community activists an opportunity to meet with National Drug Policy Chief William Bennett. Now, the White House kept reporters and photographers out of this gathering until just before it ended. During the luncheon, there was a frank discussion about the country's drug problem and the need for community action.
So if we work together and try to save our country, it seems like someone said we are going to kill all of you without a gun.
Houston's Irma Scales is here because of the tough anti-drug programs in Acres Home. Deloitte Parker because of successful programs at the Shape Center. All of these grassroots activists shared ideas about what's working and what's missing.
The drug dealers are better organized, capitalized, and mobilized, and we're neither. And unless we become organized and capitalized and mobilized, we'll never really get at this battle.
At the end of the discussion, the president stopped by.
See Al Brooks and, of course, Irma, having been and seen their projects.
President Bush said these drug war heroes are more than points of light. They're points of courage.
You are the stars in America's war on drugs. And you shine through the dark, you give hope in the night, and we're here today really to say that someone noticed.
But besides the recognition, these activists say they want resources.
Money, because I do believe in treatment and education, and that's the only way we're going to win this fight.
The outspoken Parker says while he was uncomfortable in this setting, the networking opportunities and the chance to have input on programs made the trip worthwhile.
We want to see inclusion be a major factor in developing programs and policy. Meaning, when I say inclusion, I'm talking about the people in the trenches.
Now, the 28 activists at this luncheon represent about 18 states. Sylvan and Claire, they plan to develop a national program, a national clearinghouse of ideas, so to speak, to be able to share with other communities those grassroots efforts that apparently work in fighting the drug problem.
We could use some more ideas. Thanks, Jerome Gray, reporting live in Washington.
Well, also in Washington today, Senator Lloyd Bentsen spoke out against proposed plans to dredge the Houston Ship Channel. Environmentalists argue that making the waterway deeper and wider will endanger marine life in Galveston Bay. The Texas senator today ruled on the side of caution, saying he wants proof the dredging process is safe before causing irreparable damage.
I sure expect to be. Once done, insofar as building this channel, you can't undo. And therefore, I'm going to take my time about developing the information. And I would lean on the side of trying to protect that environment.
Senator Bentsen is asking the White House Council on Environmental Quality to examine the dredging proposal. Bentsen calls Galveston Bay one of the nation's natural treasures.
Now, the story of an area near Houston that many say also needs protecting. We're talking about bird wetlands the city wants to turn into an airport. Today, environmentalists took their case to court to keep the city from doing what they say is any more damage. Our Deborah Martine reports.
This is what's left of two ponds, a reservoir, and trees thousands of birds like to use as a winter home. It was bulldozed by the city of Houston, only weeks after federal officials said the area could be considered protective wetlands. The move outraged environmentalists. They hope to show in a study that bird life is so abundant here, the city's plan for a new Westside airport is unfeasible. The city said it was just trying to maintain valuable farmland. Today, attorneys on both sides met in federal Judge Norman Black's chambers and came out with an agreement. No more bulldozing by the city without federal approval.
I think it's a win-win situation. I think we've gotten exactly what we've asked for.
The city certainly feels that making an agreement to follow the law is certainly nothing that it wouldn't do anyway.
But in this July '89 letter to the Army Corps of Engineers, the city says it plans to immediately proceed with preparing the site for agricultural use. But bulldozing ponds not altered for decades was never mentioned, a point environmentalists say is deceptive.
Now, we've alleged that this is either a negligent misrepresentation or an actionable fraud, an intentional act.
Nothing deceptive about it. We didn't do it in the dead of night. We didn't use camouflage on the bulldozers. We were certainly not deceptive. We told two federal agencies that we were going to do it.
Both sides hope to work out details of the agreement next week. If not, they'll head back to court. Deborah Martine, 11 News.
Well, it is the political season, and as the countdown to the March primaries continues, we're learning more and more about the candidates who want to be governor.
Next, a profile of Democrat Mark White, the former first man of Texas who appears to be running on hindsight.
We made tough decisions at a time in our state's history that pointed the right direction. Today, we're the beneficiary of those decisions.
Hello, Houston. We're having a 21st anniversary sale, and it's going to be big because Lawrence Marshall Chevy Old Geo in the little town of Hempstead is the #1 Chevy truck retailer in America. How do we do it? By selling for less. And through March, you'll save even more on all Chevys, Olds, and Geos during our 21st anniversary sale. This is on top of our already low Marshall discount prices. Lawrence Marshall Chevy Olds Geo, $290 to Hempstead. We clobber big city prices.
What do you do when every road to hope turns out to be a dead end? Don't give up. Walls do come down. Hi, I'm Mario Tasto. Please join me for a half-hour exploration of Christian Science. It's a trip that could take you to hope and beyond.
Watch KHOU Saturday, March 10th at 11:30 a.m.
This for a guarantee. At Star, we don't just guarantee furniture, we guarantee your happiness. Live with your furniture for up to 7 days. It either looks right in your home, or we'll take it back.
Can you afford not to shop at Star? Star Furniture, Star Furniture.
Hi, I'm Hudson. And I'm Harriet. $500,000. That's what we're up to at FM 100 KILT, and the most popular and easiest to win contest in Houston radio. If you have a Social Security number, then you're already entered to win your share of the next $100,000 in killed cash. And the winning is as easy as that. Just remember the last 2 digits of your Social Security number. Then listen to FM 100 KILT weekday mornings at 7:13. We guarantee we'll call your number. The winning is easy on FM 100 KILT.
Democrats in the race for governor are now engaging in increasingly bloody exchanges as the time before the primary grows shorter. By this time next week, the 3 major contenders in the Democratic race will be reduced to 2.
Tonight, Nancy Holland reports on the one Democrat in the race who can already call himself governor, Mark White, the man who wants to make a comeback.
I, Mark Wells White, do solemnly swear. Do solemnly swear.
January 18, 1983, and Mark White is sworn in as governor. He has campaigned on a promise of no new taxes, a promise he repeats, then breaks.
I see no reason for increasing the taxes paid by the people of Texas. I know what I'm asking you to do when I call for a tax increase.
White's education reforms, including no pass, no play, and a competency test for teachers, also lose him friends. Teachers demonstrate.
Mark White, going, going, going!
And he is gone, rejected by voters. But after 3 years, Mark White is running again. His platform rests heavily on improvements in education and no increase in taxes. He says the very things that once defeated him will now make voters choose him.
We made tough decisions at a time in our state's history that pointed the right direction. Today, we're the beneficiary of those decisions. We've got better roads.
White says voters have had time to understand what he did. In televised debates, he seems to be positioning himself as the elder statesman of the Democrats, largely removing himself from verbal combat. But apart from the debates, Mark White is less reluctant to sum up his opponents.
A bulldog that's more of a lapdog is not what we want, and a new Texas with no substance is not what we want either.
And in the last weeks of the campaign, he has not hesitated to break the commandment that Democrats not lash out at each other.
When you see Jim Maddox on TV, watch his lips. If they're moving, he could be lying.
And at a news conference in Austin today, where White revealed more of his financial records, he made what may be his strongest attack of the campaign. He responded to charges made by opponent Ann Richards that there were irregularities in the purchase of his Houston home and that he lined his pockets when he was governor.
If you believe that I have lined my pockets, tell it to me to my face, and not just to a room full of your supporters.
And then he came out swinging against Richards herself.
Have you ever used illegal drugs? Yes or no? Put the politics aside and think of the children. Because if you don't, you have truly become the failed politician of the past. And it's time the people of Texas got an answer.
Polls have shown White holding a slim lead in the increasingly muddy contest. Mark White is from Houston, though he has not been the most active campaigner here or anywhere else in the state for that matter. He is relying on the fact that he already has name recognition and the hope that in hindsight, Mark White is more attractive. Nancy Holland, 11 News.
Sports and a whole lot more coming up.
Opening soon, the Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion in the Woodlands. Houston's summers will never be the same.
What's missing from New Hillshire Farm light smoked sausage?
It's got that same juicy taste.
Same smoke flavor.
What's missing? This.
New Hillshire Farm Light. It's missing 25% of the fat found in the other leading brand, but hasn't lost one bit of that great smoked sausage taste.
The only thing missing, as far as I can see, is another helping. Come on.
New Hillshire Farm light smoked sausage and Polska kielbasa with 25% less fat.
During Truck Month, your Texas Ford dealers have a huge selection of F-150s, plus F-150 Super Cabs with free air and free automatic. And now get $750 cash back direct from Ford, even before your best Truck Month deal. F-150s, we've got them, so come and get them. Texas Ford and you.
Do you still think cocaine is a game you can win? Every day, good people just like you become addicted, with devastating effects on their families and careers. And every time you use cocaine, you gamble with your life.
Here at Spring Shadows Glen, we can help you give up cocaine, as well as alcohol and other drugs. Call 462-4000.
Call Spring Shadows Glen, 462-4000, a division of Memorial City Medical Center.
You think a lot of Houstonians are refocusing on basketball now instead
They
of baseball?
might be. In any kind of a lockout or a strike situation, something precious has to be threatened, and right now we're talking about opening day. That translates into money. They're getting serious. It is the end of the third week of the baseball lockout, and the end is still not in sight. Today, the owners and player representatives met again, but have broken off talks this evening for dinner. The talks come in the wake of a 6.5-hour marathon session last night. The players have backed off their demand that all two-year players be eligible for salary arbitration, but the owners haven't budged.
Anybody thought that there was an agreement in sight? That's not right.
About the only thing the two sides agree on is if something isn't settled this week, opening day won't happen April 2nd. For more than 10 years, Houston track star Carl Lewis has rallied his support around drug abuse, but his stance gained the most notoriety after Canadian sprinter Ben Johnson was stripped of the gold medal for using steroids in the 1988 Olympic Games. Today, Lewis took his message to Capitol Hill. Flanked by Delaware Senator Joe Biden, Lewis is in Washington lobbying for a bill that would make steroids a controlled substance like cocaine or heroin. The bill is expected to be approved by the Senate tomorrow.
It's a very important issue to me that we try to control steroids, just like we're trying to control all types of drugs. It's affecting the athletic world, it's affecting the high school kids, students, it's affecting families, everybody.
Anytime Lewis is among reporters, the question of whether he would like to race Ben Johnson again is always asked. Lewis says he would only like to do that under the right circumstances.
If he runs and I run, then eventually we'll probably have to run against one another, and I don't really look at him as any different as any other athlete. If he comes out and his intention is to be clean and to do what he can to help stop drugs and stop young people from taking them based on his experience, then I think he can be a tremendous person in the sport.
Lewis confirmed he's received several offers for the rematch, but nothing has been signed. There is a report out tonight that fallen college basketball star Hank Gathers was warned by doctors to give up the sport. The report comes in today's Los Angeles Times, which quotes a cardiologist who would not release his name. Gathers died Sunday night after collapsing during Loyola Marymount's game against Portland State. He had collapsed earlier in a game in December. The school's athletic director says he had no knowledge Gathers was issued the warning. Also today, the Loyola basketball team voted to accept an NCAA tournament bid and dedicate the efforts in memory of Hank Gathers. In pro basketball, the Rockets are riding high on a 4-game winning streak. Still on the outside of the NBA playoff picture, the Rockets have gotten their act together and are now serious contenders. Last night, the team played super, taking apart the always tough Los Angeles Lakers. It is the first time since 1981 the Rockets have beaten the Lakers twice in the regular season. And the way they've been playing in the past week, look for that kind of intensity to continue.
The key is our bench. I think right now we have guys coming in and holding their own, giving our starters some rest.
We wasn't competitive enough in practice, and now we've added on a couple new players. We're a lot more competitive, and if you do that, it's easy to play the ball game the way you practice.
The Rockets can take a giant step towards the playoffs tomorrow night when they play the Seattle Supersonics at the Summit. The Sonics currently hold the 8th and final playoff position, 2.5 games in front of the Rockets, and right now things are getting interesting over at the Summit.
Boy, Akeem can't be playing any better. He's just sky high every day.
He's pretty tough, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, as far as the weather goes, pretty dreary out there today.
Up next, Doc will let us know if Mother Nature is going to spice things up a bit. Stay tuned.
You say oui, I say yep. You say bonjour, and I say howdy. You say beaucoup, I say mucho.
Meet St. Genevieve wine. Delicious reds, crisp whites, and first blush. All made the French way right here in Texas. St. Genevieve.
Parlez-vous en français, partner?
The French wine with a Texas accent.
Yep.
St. Genevieve Wine, Fort Stockton, Texas.
There's a stranger in a strange town, and only one man can hunt this madman down on Wise Guy, tonight at 9.
At Sims, we'd like you to get acquainted with our store on Westheimer between Wilcrest and Westbelt Drive, opening this Thursday, March 8th, with Get Acquainted prices. Sims is the off-price representative for over 200 designer and brand names in men's, women's, and children's clothing. Get Acquainted prices start this Thursday, March 8th, at Sims on Westheimer between Wilcrest and Westbelt Drive. At Sims, an educated consumer is our best customer.
Now at Randall, triple coupon, plus these incredible specials. Large Sunkist Navel Oranges, low priced at 38 cents a pound. And Borden's Old Fashioned Ice Cream, 2 for only $5. Save today and get triple coupons at Randall.
Well, all weather eyes are focused on that big winter storm over Colorado, the front trailing down into the western part of the state. This is what it looked like yesterday. That front, incidentally, is stationary, and thunderstorms developing along that front, moving on into the east and northeastern part of the state. Now, as we put the satellite pictures in motion for the last 24 hours, watch the spinning clouds here in Colorado as that low or the storm system eases very slowly to the east over into Kansas, and you'll see the thunderstorms develop here in Texas and then move rapidly on to the northeast. There you see the spinning clouds, and finally that storm system does make some progress towards the east, but we've had thunderstorms down in the state all day long, and there was some severe weather just in the east of Dallas on over towards the Arkansas border. We had a number of reports of hail, maybe even some wind damage associated with a tornado, and one lightning death at Linden. That's just into the southwest of Texarkana. But the temperatures are mild, as you can see, 70s, extending all the way down into Florida. Good news in South Florida, they finally got back into the 80s after a couple of cold days. Now, to the north of this front, it was ice in Iowa this afternoon. All kinds of problems there with accidents on the sheet of ice like we had here in February a year ago. And the temperature, see, just below freezing, and with a little precipitation, of course, it froze as it hit the ground, and you can see temperatures in the 30s from New England down through the mid-Atlantic states, on through the Ohio Valley, up into the northern plains, and then finally down into Colorado. 50 inches of snow at Mount Evans. Now, Mount Evans is a mountain just west of Denver, the highest road in the United States, as I recall, 14,210 feet. And at Evergreen, that's just in west of Denver, they had 30 inches. Estes Park, 22 inches, and 10 to 20 inches in the suburbs of Denver. They're going to be skiing out there until the 4th of July. Down in the desert southwest, they got a little warming trend today and finally got back into the 70s. But here comes the next storm system that they're going to have to worry about. And in Texas, you can see that front is stationary. Here's the severe weather moving on to the northeast. We managed the 76. That's 6 above normal, 69 on the island. Small crafted caution is in effect. Southeast winds 15 to 20. Storm system moving on to the northeast, but trailing here. So that means we're going to have showers and clouds, and it'll probably continue that way on into the weekend, but the temperatures are going to be mild. Let's take a look at that forecast. Tonight, 50% chance of light rain continued tonight. Temperatures in the 60s. Overnight lows will be in the 60s. Then tomorrow afternoon, still some light rain around with temperatures in the 70s. And we're just going to leave it kind of cloudy. Maybe a chance of a little light rain on through the weekend. But we could see temperatures pretty close to 80, and that's not bad this time of year.
Going to be spitting and sputtering for a little while there. Thanks, Neil.
Thanks, Neil. Well, the United Way and Channel 11 are asking youngsters to stop and think the next time they spend a quarter on snacks. It could be used to help the poor. A special videotape program produced by Channel 11 will go out to all local schools. The program is called Kids Way. United Way is hoping that youngsters will forego those potato chips and soda pops and donate that money to those less fortunate. They're asking each child to donate a quarter. This year's theme is a quarter's worth of caring. If they used all the quarters they spent on video games, United Way would be very well off.
I know, it's never too early to get them started thinking about this
Good
stuff,
idea.
too.
Good idea.
We hope you'll join us for 11 News at 10. I'll be back with Steve Smith.
For now, good night.